Hi, welcome to Brady's Blunders, where I show you the mistakes in my games, hoping you don't make the same ones in yours. And in today's video, I'm going to conclude the game I started in episode 51, in which I played Nick Sibicky. But before I do that, let me do a couple other things. First, let me welcome all of the new subscribers who have started watching as a result of either my AlphaGo videos or having seen me on another YouTube channel. And that brings me to the second thing, which is that, I've recently appeared on a couple other YouTube channels, and I hope you guys can watch them. One of the YouTube channels is Nick Sibicky's, and I imagine that if we did a Venn diagram, and if Nick Sibicky was this in terms of his subscribers, then mine would be this little circle over on the margin, which is largely intersected. In other words, I imagine that most of you who are watching have already seen Nick's video with me, but for the few of you who haven't, I'll link to it down below, and it was good fun. We reviewed a Q game, and we didn't always have exactly the same perspective. So go ahead and give it a watch if you've not seen it. Thanks, Nick. That was a lot of fun. And the other one that I appeared on recently was Go Talk with Kevin. Kevin has a really interesting YouTube channel, which is kind of like a chat show or a talk show where he interviews. Usually it's a celebrity in the Go world, although in this case it was just me. This episode we took questions from his followers, and they ranged from what books we recommend to which databases are good for studying Joseki, to what it's like to attend a tournament, and basically we each told a few stories. So that was really good fun as well. Oh yeah, after that first AlphaGo video I did, there was someone who linked to it in his own summary of AlphaGo. And this is a guy who does 2-minute summaries of sort of technical subjects, and he went and recommended my YouTube channel to those who were interested in more details about AlphaGo. So thanks, Caroli, it's appreciated, and seriously, he's doing great stuff with that channel, and I recommend you check it out. Again, link to below. But, well, that's enough chat. Let's get into the game. So we're 20-something moves from the end of the last video, and we've pretty much completed 3 of the corners. Now, the top 2 don't resemble any Joseki you'll find in a book. We both made lots of mistakes, kind of fun. And the bottom left, we actually played a Joseki, so that was nice. At any rate, we move into the bottom right corner, or rather Nick moved into my bottom right corner. And I think this is a pretty good invasion. And it's got 3 directions to run. It can run out, it can run towards the corner, or it can try to connect underneath. So it's a very flexible move, and I can't hope to punish it too badly. So I decided to take the corner away and keep the points for myself and wait to see how Nick would answer. So Nick played this combination, running out towards the center. And he made me heavy at the same time. But the problem with this peep is it eliminates his ability to connect underneath, right? At A, which, like I said, that was one of his escape routes before. So if he hadn't peeped and the fight went against him, he'd always have the ability to connect underneath at A, but because he peeped, that's now gone. And in effect, what he's doing is making this a really big fight for both of our lives. And in the end, it turned out pretty good for him, but it shouldn't have. So let's see. I followed up this way, and what I was doing with this move was aiming at a defect. So he was able to jump a little faster because of the peep, but there's still a problem in his shape. If he's to play somewhere else, I have the ability to cut like this. And if he tries to stay connected, now you can see that I can cut at either A or B. And white's going to be cut, and black's going to be connected. And the real big benefit of that is then this group becomes strong. And when this group is strong, white's not going to be able to make many points on the left-hand center, if you will. So that was my plan. Of course, Nick didn't play a pass move, and Nick played here. Now if I try this, you can see that it doesn't work because he's protected the defect at A. All he needs to do is now protect the defect at B, and he's out. So this is the first game problem. If as black you want to activate the defect at A, how would you go about it? Because that was my plan. Go ahead and pause if you like. I'll wait here for you. Okay, well, I played here. I showed you the tiger's mouth variation and I read it out and I just went and directly attacked that tiger's mouth. And again, you can see that this kind of works because if he doesn't defend it, I have the ability to cut at either A or B. So success. But the thing of it is it's a very slow move that I just played. And when my teacher and friend Jenny saw it, she just kind of laughed. And it's sort of a typical plotting Brady move. And she said, well, what about here? And I was like, well, if he plays here and then I extend, which is the standard shape, the invasion no longer works, right? All of a sudden, this tiger's mouth is protected again. So my sequence doesn't work. But this was my mistake. And it was something I read while I was playing the game. But I read play a standard continuation after white plays Hane. But of course, I didn't have to. I could just make this straight shape. The same shape I had before. But now I'm one further and I've created an extra cutting point. So this would have been a much better continuation for black. And it goes to this idea of, we talk about thoughtless moves, especially when people play blitz. They just play, and they play moves they know and play moves they understand, and they're not thinking. But in this case, instead of playing a thoughtless move, it was my reading that was thoughtless. And I kind of thought, well, when white plays here, black extends. That's it. That's the only continuation. And I didn't even continue. I didn't even consider what I should have played. All right. But that said, this is a slow move, but not a game-deciding move. And then Nick played here. And it's at this point that things began to go awry. So when he contacted me here, I actually became concerned for this stone. And I thought all of a sudden that white's going to start to gain a big right-hand side. And I played this Hane here, which is perfectly reasonable. It preserves my corner. And yeah, it's just a normal move. And yeah, fine. And then white crosscut. And then here is where my thinking fell apart. And I think I found possibly the worst local continuation I could have done. All right, let's see if you can do better. Go ahead and think about this problem. Pause if you like. All right, let me start off by showing you what I played and why I played it. And I completely forgot about my objective of cutting here. And all of a sudden, to me, the battle had switched to the right-hand side. And Nick was threatening to cut off this single stone. So I realized that I could extend this way and keep my connection with it, and white wouldn't be able to cut me off. And I thought this was a success. But this was really, really bad thinking. White went ahead and captured that single stone. And as I said, I connected underneath, but I did it in gote. So what's the problem with this? Well, my initial objective when I played this slow-looking move was to cut here, at A. But that no longer works. It doesn't even come close to working anymore because I've made white so strong. So that's the first thing that's wrong with it. And the second thing that's wrong with it is this sequence ended in gote for me. So white played at a point that we both really, really wanted. And at this point, the game was trash for me. And, points on the board are about the same right now. But white's got all the initiative, and I've got a weak, really weak group that has to run. And it spent the rest of the game running, not making points. He spent the rest of the game chasing it, making points, and had a relatively easy win. So let's go back to my thought process and why it was so wrong. I mean, I got exactly what I wanted, right? Then why was it so bad? Because what I wanted wasn't the right thing. And the reality is, this stone isn't all that important. It's just points because this white group is settled. This cutting point is hugely important. And what I needed to do was go back and think to the fundamental lessons of a crosscut. And if your opponent crosscuts, you need to think of it as a fight. And in general, when they crosscut, if you can capture the crosscut, just do it. It's kind of like winning a fight. And this would be a perfectly reasonable continuation. Of course, I looked at this, but I thought that white getting a shape on the outside, whether playing here or the Satari, and cutting off the stone would be a bad result. But of course, that's silly. If white goes ahead and plays like this, I still have the cutting point at A. And later on, I can threaten to connect under B. So this would be a great result. Matter of fact, I should probably take this right now. So when I play this, I'm effectively capturing one or both of these stones, preserving this, and reducing the whole left side. And the game is pretty good for black. And in this crosscut situation, let's say that I'm not sure that I can capture his cutting stone. And I know in this case it's pretty obvious. But and I decide that I need to help one of my crosscut stones. Well, I chose the wrong one, right? I extended from this crosscut helping this stone, but it turned out this was the less important stone. This stone was more important because it preserves the cut and therefore helps this group. I hope that makes some sense. So this move would be, this extension, while not the best, would be way better than what I selected. And what would I worry about? Something like this? Well, again, there's still the cutting point at A and the ability to connect underneath at B. Black's perfectly happy. The variation that I chose fixed A for white, and that's why it was unacceptable. What else could I do? I mean, I could even do something like this, right? And when white captures this stone, come back and again, just go ahead and cut white off. And these two stones are cut off as well. I mean, this would also be a perfectly fine continuation for black. So this is what I mean, that I think the variation that I chose was pretty much the worst I could do. And that's because I lost sight of two things. I lost sight to how to think in a crosscut, and I lost sight of what my objective was when I played this move here. When I played this move here, I was aiming at this cut. So whatever continuation I chose, really I should try to keep that in mind and keep that as a valid option for me. Otherwise, this move is just slow. So to summarize, when I played this move, it was one way sort of negative reading, and I could have gone a step further, which would have been better. And then when Nick created this crosscut situation, I responded like a kitten being distracted by a shiny, spinny object. And I was like, woo, 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 and became worried about the right-hand side instead of the real battle. So, and instead I needed to think how to respond to a crosscut and remember what my initial objective was. And if I'd done those two things, the game would have been very different. Anyway, it was a fun game, and I'll get you next time, Nick. Thanks for watching, everyone. See ya.